Wow. Really surprised to see the our priority there from WE. That's not something that we get to see an awful lot, especially because there are picks that can do pretty well into it. But we'll have to see exactly what the plan is going to be. Nautilus going to be taken here, although again, I'm not seeing any sort of Senna priority, which is kind of breaking my brain a little bit. I think Senna is just very underrated, and especially for a team like WE who have already shown, look, a lot of their damage comes from BiuBiu and Shanks. Sticking Smlz onto something that's a bit more of a supportive pick, I honestly think is the way that WE should be trying to play.
Yeah, I kind of agree with it as well, but a quick cough, so I had to mute myself mid-sentence. But OMG gonna go for the full scaling. I know, so unprofessional that I would mute mid-cough. But the Corki does get locked in, so full scaling here. And again, we're kind of seeing the meta slowly drift back to those very much tried and tested methods of Corki, Azir, Jinx, Aphelios. These things are just gonna start coming back.
Makes me sad. It's too sad, Oisin.
It's just because it's the... What's the best way I can put it? It's the lack of risk reward, because the risk is so high and the reward is so small now, because they don't want the way that developers have moved it, they don't want the games just to snowball out of control. So it almost makes that's the highest win percentage. You know, you don't have to make a mistake. You just, even if you do, you're on an Aphelios or a Jinx, you're fine.
Maybe this is the game where we get Bel'Veth then. We'll have to see, because we're seeing scaling across the board here.
True.
WE, I will say, because they've opted in towards the Braum as a counter to the Nautilus, means that they're probably going to need some sort of engage tool. Otherwise, you do run the risk of something like a Jace coming through here for Shanji, and does really well against the Gnar in these early stages. And then you're able to play at range here for OMG, which I think could be a major issue on Team WE's side.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a bit of an issue there. But the Sejuani, which has been banned in both games, will be picked up here for Creme. Not for Creme, but for Shanji by Creme, as we come in now and see what the next phase of bans are going to be. So, not going to see the Rumble this time around, I would imagine, unless Aki fancies himself something of a Sejuani jungler.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. We've kind of seen Sejuani creep out of the jungle just because she doesn't offer a huge amount when it comes to the 1v1, or she becomes very reliant on having pushing lanes that can then facilitate her slow clear. Well, not slow clear, but like unimpactful clear. So I think that's where OMG will more than likely be sending Shanji up towards the top lane with the Sejuani. The Viego being banned away by WE. Almost seems like they're trying to bait out once more the Lee Sin pick here from OMG and see if they can then go towards the Volibear. But again, I think that leaves you at a problem here where WE just don't have a huge amount of engage in this composition.
Yeah, I think they need to start to, well, they haven't got the, of course, the Gnar, but it's not really, it's a kind of situational engage. You want to try and maybe make yourself something a little bit more guaranteed, but the Ahri banned away as well means that Shanks not going to have that pick potential just yet. They haven't banned the Lissandra, funny enough, on the side of OMG, so they are leaving that one up, and that might slot itself very nicely into the kind of setup right now. It looks like WE are saying, look, Abel, take the Jinx. We're happy for you to go into that matchup because we feel like we're confident with the Aphelios Braum combination.
I'd be surprised if Shank takes the Lissandra just because it's such a terrible matchup into the Corki. Like, Corki completely outranges you, and every time you try to engage, he just Valkyries away. So I'd be surprised. But there is the Lee Sin we were talking about, which almost seems like, as we're literally saying, you take the Volibear now, which is a good answer. But again, you don't have any sort of big engage tool that can close the gap. And it feels like, to me, OMG have kind of read this. Now you go back towards something like a potential of a Zoe or something here for... sorry, not a Zoe. Oh, the Ezra is gone, actually. So what would you take on the bot side? Maybe you take the... I think actually maybe you just go for the Senna. This scenario is OMG. And you're just happy to play at the range there with the Senna if you want to.
I think it's a Jinx. I know your logic is 100%.
Jinx also works.
Jinx. Yeah, I think it's a Jinx, sadly. I wish it was a Senna or a Seraphine or something fun, something different. That being said, I do. Senna presents her own issues when she's back in meta. We were only just talking before we went live of how it completely scuffs your stats a little bit when the ADC is not farming and not doing anything except getting an absolute boatload of gold. But Azir does get locked in here for Shanks. We might see Abel go to an old favorite of the Samira. Should he lock it in? This is something that Abel has been very prolific on. Even at the start of the split, we saw respect bans coming in from other teams to ban him off this particular pick.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, Braum is such a good answer into the Samira because it's like point and click CC. So you get one auto, and then you got the conclusive blow stacks where a bunch of people can try and get on top of her. You got the easy point and click CC from Beishang as well. Like, even the Azir does really well into that pick. So I keep seeing Abel trying to make this pick work, but there's been times where I look at like compositions that WE have, I'm like, it is very clear that you can play at range here, and you don't ever have to try and contest WE. You've got good engage, you've got great disengage to keep your backline safe, but instead they end up opting in towards like going for this super aggressive pick, and now it enables things like Smlz on these Aphelios, because he would have been fairly scuffed trying to play through this bottom side properly. I don't know. I'm a bit frustrated with Abel continuously picking this Samira in spots I really don't think it fits.
Yeah, I think it's just, again, like we mentioned in the previous game for OMG, it's very much comfort for the side of OMG. And, you know, last time it was the Silas and the Rumble. This time around, and even the Tristana as well, this time around, it's the Samira. Honestly, I would have maybe even preferred the Tristana a little bit more here. But like you said, it's very difficult to really get this Samira going. It's unless you have a massive egregious mistake coming out from Team WE, there's not really a lot you can do, especially post level 6, where you have the Glacial Fissure, you have got the Gravitum, you've got ways in that 2v2 to just stop everything she wants to do.
Yeah, it doesn't really make a huge amount of sense to me. Like, but we'll have to see. I mean, if Aki's able to play down towards this bottom side and get that pick rolling, it's going to be great. But you already have a losing jungle matchup with the Volibear. You've got good peel coming through from heal. And the overextensions can really cause issues, especially if heal is able to like exhaust Abel, starts to get the concussive blows down, and then can just take over. So I'm not the biggest fan of now where this draft has gone from OMG. I actually really liked it until the Samira pick, but Samira just tends to skew things completely around her. And Code is dead.
Go. No, I don't think he's dead yet, but Shelby taking a very poor trade. They do get a little bit of first strike damage there for Creme, so you know what? It's worth. You got the gold.
I thought Code was going to be in a little bit more trouble there if Shanks was able to roll over and didn't have the backup as quickly as he needed. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of coming into this now. I actually favor WE. I think they have a great late game scaling. The fact that Abel needs to be in close quarters to get the damage off means that you don't get to just abuse your range advantage anymore on OMG. And I just don't think Aki can get as much done in this early stages because of the Beishang having the Volibear matchup. So I thought that you'd kind of snookered WE with the composition that OMG have drafted, but with just Abel going towards the Samira, it feels like you kind of let that one go.
You see now both junglers solo starting the blue buffs as they get themselves on the opposite sides of the map. Aki going to be taking a little bit more punishment, but nothing too untoward for him as such, as we can see now Creme and Shanks. God, I'm sorry. I hate this matchup so much because nothing happens for like 30 minutes. It's basically the worst matchup ever because it's so boring, and it's like, you know, we're the LPL. We need to be doing crazy stuff. Where's the Anivia top? Where's the Shy? You know, when you need him most, he vanishes.
He's playing Azir and Anivia. They're not exactly the most exciting champions.
He's going through the alphabet right now in terms of which champions to play.
But I agree, and I think it's not only the fact that like the matchup itself is quite uninteractive, it also isn't interactive with the junglers either. So you don't get to play through your strong mid jungle. If you like say stake something like a Silas or an Ahri instead. So now you're kind of going, okay, well our mid is pretty much just going to stay in its spot, not really interact with the map. So it becomes very much more about the individual 1v1s for the jungler, which I give the edge to for Beishang because he is on the Volibear. And as well, has the opportunity to try and make some plays happen down on this bottom side of the map. Like, Cold, not going to be exactly the tankiest. If you're the ones that are aggressing on this bottom side for WE, where maybe you find a route in for Beishang, I think you're in a really good spot. I don't think OMG can turn that around particularly easy.
Well, you've made your feelings known. We'll see how it all ends up being laid out in front of us on the map. Like we said, it isn't a perfect world, in a vacuum, shall we say, that all these things end up coming to pass, and sometimes they just don't. That's just the nature of League of Legends. Sadly, it is not a perfect game. neither are the players. So we'll see what way it ends up working out for both these teams. We can see now Beishang on the Volibear just naturally has a slightly faster clear speed than the Lee Sin. So going to get its first scuttle, pop down the Squire's Bloom, recognizing, oh, never mind, we're going to see a little bit of an engage here. But again, this is exactly what you were talking about, is that if you catch it onto heal or even onto Smlz, the Unbreakable just stops everything.
Yeah, and the thing is that when Cole goes for the engage, Unbreakable goes up. Now, as Able, you have to make a decision as to how you actually want to try and aggress onto Smlz. Because it's very easy for the Unbreakable into an auto attack from heal to start the concussive blows. Smlz is able to follow up. And Nautilus isn't as tanky as Braum in this matchup. So now you get to basically neutralize the entire engage from Cold, because he always ends up losing out on the trade unless Able goes hyper aggressive. But the second Able goes hyper aggressive, you end up being in range for the auto attacks from heal to come through. You've overextended away from your support, so it makes it very easy for the 1v2 to turn around from WE and just focus down the Samira.
Oh, Shanji doesn't have flash, has ghost and pops it immediately. He's going to try and maybe get some CC down, but a flash in from Beishang. They're trying to take this turret dive to the next level, and they do it absolutely perfectly. WE getting the advantage in the top side.
Beishang helping BiuBiu get his revenge. BiuBiu will not be silenced 2 games in a row. A nice job by Beishang to get that play. Probably didn't need to commit the flash, but just wanted to make sure that he got the stun on the edge of tower range so they could get out nice and easily. Aki trying to see if he could respond on bot side, but WE prepared. Ward the dragon. Don't even try and complete the push in towards bot side river. They're just happy to make sure that they don't fall to any OMG shenanigans.
Yeah, Shanks, I gotta give a good kind of props to Shanks in game 1, now in game 2, or sorry, 3, excuse me. He has been able to put very significant pressure down onto Creme, and really, yes, it's an uninteractive lane, and you can see that Creme's not really losing. He's not really in any kind of kill threat, but the fact that he's gonna have to go back without having a TP available is gonna hurt him quite a bit. So he's actually gonna lose out on possibly, like, you know, a cannon minion, maybe even 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, this is a matchup where pre-6 Azir has a ton of pressure because he's able to outrange the Corki, he's able to use the Sand Soldiers to poke Creme away. But this matchup does start to turn around when you get level 6 for Creme, because then you start to answer back with your own rockets, and if you can land a few of them, they really start to get the damage stuck on towards Shanks. So at least now should be able to even up, but as you say, nice job from Shanks to get that control, and this is what we talked about for Shanks. I mean, control mages are his comfort. Even back when he was in the LDL, it was things like the Cassiopeia, the Azir. When he first joined WE, we were talking about the Syndra for him. This is the meta where he likes, so if he's able to play these picks, he's going to be able to shut his stuff on us.
Yeah, and again, really putting down some pressure here. We do see a cull for Creme alongside his tier, so he is just waiting for the late game right now. He is just waiting for a 2-item spike, trying to get there up to his Ludens and Murmana as quick as he possibly can. So wait to see when that spike does end up coming in, but 6.5 minutes onto the clock. It is only, of course, that 1 kill in top side, which is equaling a couple of 100 gold. And of course, no one's taken the dragon just yet, so we might see some pressure or some movement coming out from WE as they've got first rotation on this bot side. So they're going to be in a position to say, look, Beishang, you're safe. We're going to be there way before Able and Cold are.
Aki, going to see if he can try and respond by pushing in on this this top side. It will be able to steal away the blue buff, which I will say is pretty nice in the mid lane matchup for Creme to have a blue buff advantage, but I wouldn't be surprised as we look here. WE may just roam in and steal the blue buff away for themselves, but actually Beishang going to back away, so not going to be too much back and forth at the moment. I'm sorry for everyone. This is going to be a slow burner. This is just put your feet up, go get a cup of tea. You can see us here in about 10 minutes time when stuff actually happens.
You know? Yeah, exactly. Say hi to your friends. You know, have a nice calming conversation.
We play
about
League of Legends. We don't have friends.
Are we not friends? Is that what you're saying?
No, we're solo queue duo partners. That's it.
What are we? It's like literally just having like a relationship crisis in the middle of a cast. It's like, uh-oh. But yeah, this is going to be a bit of a slow burner. Again, the Corki is here, like you mentioned earlier, not really much interaction, even with the junglers having very high kind of, you know, early game engage. Even after level 6, it's not really much you can do about it. BiuBiu is situational. Shanji not really in a position to go for a full engage onto a Gnar. He's got a hop available to him, and then in bot lane, I think that OMG kind of snookered themselves and kind of said, well, we've gone with this hyper-aggressive Samira that cannot engage. So, yeah.
Can't engage, can't get support either from the jungle because Beishang wins the matchup. And Beishang, as you look at on the mini-map, actually doing a really good job of position himself on bot side or matching Aki with where he roams, so Aki actually can't make plays happen.
Oh, Aki going to find Beishang. He's going to immediately try and turn this one around, but there's a Dragon's Rage kick right back in top of him. But Cold completely whips his ultimate, but never mind. Excuse me, it wasn't even his ultimate. It was his dredge line. Does not matter because Shanks put himself into a bad position, and he gets taken down. OMG finally on the board.
Yeah, Beishang was just totally fine to get away from that one using the ultimate. And Shanks tries to make more happen, but ends up getting himself killed as a result. Isn't able to flash away and ends up falling off the back of that. So at least getting something back here for OMG, but they are losing third place to Smlz on this bot side.
Yeah, you're kind of gaining it back now as BiuBiu is here, maybe trying to act like more of a nuisance than anything else. Shouldn't be able to do really any work there whatsoever. Let's have a look at the replay here, because like I said, Beishang does get caught. BiuBiu loses Mega, but honestly, it just feels like Shanks just kind of a little bit overzealous. They weren't expecting the Nautilus just to fully commit over the wall.
Yeah, Beishang shouldn't have been here because they don't have the support roaming on WE side, but I want to see what happens here, because Shanks does get the push back, and then, yeah, it just looks like the depth charge coming in keeps him locked up, and good follow-up CC from Shanji to make sure that the bird couldn't escape, but WE should never try to contest that when heal is still on the bottom side of the map with Smlz. They needed to wait for Smlz to push in before they even looked at Rift.
Yeah, I will say they got 2 plates on bot side. The Rift Herald does generally equal at minimum 2 plates, so trading back that kill does mean a little bit at the moment of an equal trade of 320 for about 400 gold as such for the side of OMG. So still going to have a little bit of an advantage here for the side of WE, but again, this is kind of the part and parcel of what we expected from this game, is that you're kind of waiting for either proactive or reactive mistakes to come out here from either side. And right now it is WE, sadly, who were the first to sadly reactively play incorrectly.
And the thing is, if this game just continues at this pace, WE will end up in a great spot. Braum going to have a ton of value in the later portion of the game. You got 2 great late game scaling carries, a decent enough front line as well. Like, you're going to be in a fantastic spot. And again, OMG can't really just play at range, because Azir matches Corki in a lot of situations. The Samira has to go in aggressive, and she's not really been put ahead here into a position where she can really carry, because Smlz has just managed to withstand the early laning phase from the Samira at this part.
OMG, they need to start making some moves now. I will say they have got the Rift Herald, so maybe might see something on the bot side to try and make something work. But again, like you said, very, very difficult to actually make that happen. And yeah, again, like it's down to the scaling. I think when you see a Gnar with a cull, you know things are going to be a bit slow, a bit of a slow burner.
When you see Corki with a cull as well, exact same story. There's a lot of culls.
Culls! You get a cull, and you
Thumbs
get a cull. Yeah, I really hope the game shifts to a little bit more high risk, high reward. That's what I loved about League of Legends. I love the idea of, you know, you go for something crazy and it works because you were out mechanicked it, not because you have an OP champion or something like that. But right now it just feels like it's like, well, it doesn't even matter if you get those 2-3 kills. You're just gonna have to scale endlessly anyway. So, you know, we don't see assassins as much as everyone hates him. I miss Zed, one of the greatest outplays in League of Legends history.
Yeah. The sad thing is that the way the meta's going with the Grievous Wounds nerfs means that things like Seraphine and that kind of stuff are all just so powerful that we are just going to see late game scaling in a lot of situations.
Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so, Dagda.
I mean, when they had to, in 12-12, when they had to remove the Grievous Wounds removal from Soraka's ult, kind of tells you a lot about where the healing in the game is at the moment. But here we go. Maybe a fight, maybe a play.
Seconds. Creme needs to use his ultimate, or excuse me, his package right now. He uses it straight on top of heal. He's just burning up along with a little mini equalizer. There's going to be Beishang trying to jump in. That's a nice ultimate from BiuBiu, though, to catch out the Corki, and now they can try and reset this fight. Dragon does go over to the side of OMG, so to get themselves that particular pick off. Aki, though, kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. They might have to fully re-engage on top of this. There's the shifting sands into the Emperor's Divide. Able, not quite able to get the damage down as Aki finds himself in a 1v1 with BiuBiu. It's close, but BiuBiu comes out on top, and it ends up being an ace for the Dragon. WE coming alive.
A perfect example for WE of how to play these team fights and why Abel's Samira pick sucks. Because they can't do anything. But here we go, WE, 6 kills now to 2. They don't get the Dragon, but they get so much off that fight, and we're going to watch it here in the replay. So, I really like Heal actually tanking this hook here, because if everything gets blown onto Heal when he got the Unbreakable, that's a win. Creme, terrible positioning here as well. Puts himself straight on towards BiuBiu. He's about to go Mega Gnar. So even though he tries to Valkyrie, great ultimate coming through. Even with the flash coming across from Creme, still gets caught out. And then you're able to move back down to this fight. Abel now is sitting, waiting to use that ultimate. But the second he goes in, like, Beishang really cleverly doesn't use the Q here to engage because he's holding on to that for when Cole goes in. So you get the stun, you get the CC coming through from the Emperor's Divide, the ultimate's no longer a thing, and your auto attacks aren't as valuable as Smlz in this fight, and they won't be as the rest of this game goes on as well. So this is where this Samira needs to find ways to get creative ultimates, but it's really going to struggle to do so with just the amount of CC WE has.
Yeah, and again, great for WE to kind of say they've got a composition that works. It scales very, very well, and they play it, obviously know how to play it as well. So big moment for them. And again, they're 0-5. This could be their first game win. And for OMG, very big difference going to the halfway mark of 8 games or 8 series plays with 3-5 or 4-4. This is actually a huge moment for them because like we talked about for WE, for OMG, you need to pick up the wins when you can.
And this would be one that they would definitely like to be able to pick up against WE that's still waiting on their first win. Shanji has Aki in the wings.
He does. They're going to fully commit the ultimate, but he's going to be able to kind of push himself away. And yeah, this is a Triforce Gnar with Merc Treads. You're not really going to be able to burst him down. And WE will now take that as an opportunity to take that tower on both sides. So first tower of the game goes over to the side of Team WE. They've got themselves about a 4,000 gold lead. Should be equaled out now in a moment once this tower is taken to top side. No, never mind. BiuBiu going to fully TP back in and defend it.
Yeah, he knows that he's got Beishang on the way. He has 4 kills for himself, so he's in a great spot. And just going to be able to pick that one up. Unfortunately, not able to get that code completed before he has to TP in. So there'll be a bit of time before he can spend that gold. But it does mean that BiuBiu's in a position now for that Rift Herald, which was the main thing that WE were looking at. You can even see the Aphelios was considering moving up to top side to help protect that. And a much better take of the Baron this time around for WE.
Very well done. WE kind of slowly finding these advantages. Yes, they didn't get the dragon in the last fight, but they will take the gold, no problem whatsoever. They'll even get themselves a second Rift Herald. So this is going to open up the map a little bit more. And honestly, we even see Creme. He's having to go a little bit more defensive. Actually picks up a Hex Drinker alongside those Sword Shoes. So he's not going to have that big 2.5, well, 3 item realistically with the Sword Shoes, but not really having that big spike with the Luden's Tempest either. So this is delaying it again for OMG.
Which only feeds in towards WE being in a good spot. I don't really know what OMG are supposed to do from this position. Like, technically, they can try and look for fights. Maybe they're just going to look for picks on towards BiuBiu again, but BiuBiu's so slippery. Flash is going to be up in a moment's time, and it's just giving more pushing power towards WE in this top side. I mean, they're happy to trade a potential tier 2 here with the Rift Herald for that tier 1.
And then we're going to see them kind of push in. They won't get Shelly to get a second charge, though, sadly, so no extra damage onto the tier 2 to be picked up later. But yeah, this is starting to get a bit rough here for OMG, and you're running out of real engage options. Let's have a look at what you've got. Yes, you've got the Nautilus, but how long can he last in these fights, especially if Heal's in a position to be able to kind of tank that up? You're not really in a position to be able to try and sit there and just take up everything, you know, or tank up everything after an engage.
And the thing is that you're seeing smart itemization coming through from WE as well. Heal going towards the stopwatch means that he can actually tank up the initial engage, then use the stopwatch so he actually doesn't fall down. You look at Smlz, who's got the cleanse available. Shanks even going with the Crown of the Shattered Queen, so then when you get towards team fights, if you can avoid the initial poke coming through from Creme, the rest of the squad is very much focused on burst damage, so he should be in a pretty good spot to absorb a good amount of that initial burst if he should ever get caught. So across the board, WE kind of preparing for what OMG have, and even getting towards this objective first gives them so much control and the ability to prevent OMG from getting the engage they want.
Well, we're going to see now OMG looking for it. The ultimate from Shanji completely whiffs, doing a little bit of an X-Mitty there, but that's a great package here from Creme as he tries to get on the backside of this. Beishang goes golden just for a little bit longer, but he ends up getting taken out. Now able to get one more kill, and that's going to be a double for the Corki. This has all gone so wrong so quickly. Triple kill for Creme. What happened, Dagda?
WE's team fight completely separates and nobody goes to help any of the important members of WE. OMG decimate WE in that fight. A clean ace. That was such a bad fight for WE.
I mean, gotta give massive props to Creme right there. That package was absolutely perfect. Like you said, separated the team fight, got him in a position where he was able to put out DPS right at the limit of him being before he goes down. As we look at this replay right now, because look at Creme, he's ready and able, and it just separates him out. It's a 2 to the top, 3 to the bottom.
And here, you can actually take this front-to-back fight properly here, but as you say, Creme going on towards the back line, heal is trying to run backwards, but you need more members to commit to this bottom side to actually deal with Creme. Like, Beishang takes a ton of damage. The Gale Force tries to move him over the wall here for Smlz, but he doesn't have the damage to kill Creme. And you're just losing too many members on the back of this fight to Creme. And OMG clean up. That was insanely good from the OMG mid laner.
Yeah, and it equals out the game as well. That's going to be 34.5 each a piece, and that's 2 dragons now to OMG and Creme. 4, 1, and 2. Now he's got his 2 item spikes with a little bit of a half item as well for safety. Actually, the Hex Drinker, pretty damn key to kind of keep him alive, giving them an extra little bit of magic resistance against the Volibear. So, honestly, this game isn't over just yet. It's still difficult for OMG, but honestly, it looks like it's going to rest on Creme's engages with these packages.
Yeah, I mean, if Creme is able to find the damage like that, he can try and carry these fights. Also, just the fact that Smlz has gone for the rapid fire cannon, I think is a bit weird in this situation. I feel like a Phantom Dancer would have done a lot more, or even just going straight for the BT after his first item actually could have done some really good stuff here.
Well, we're going to see Aki flashing away. They are fully committing to try and kill this Lee Sin, but they can't catch him. He's very slippery, and that's your teleport from Shanks, Beishang's ultimate, heals ultimate. That's nothing really to be taken, thankfully, for WE or to be taken back, but that's still a lot to be given for not really lot gained.
Yeah, trying to see now if they can make quick picks so they could potentially look for the Braum, but I feel like that was such a reach from WE. Push now starting on bot side for Shanji. Shanks going to clear out wave and top. I'm curious to see if OMG now are just going to kind of play this as slow push, continue like catching waves, just wait for this next package from Creme at the dragon, see if you can try and stack dragons to win out, because I still think the scaling is there for WE, and you need like several good fights here from OMG where Creme is able to do as much damage as he did in the last one.
Now we're going to see Aki going 1v1 versus Beishang, but has a blast count, so keeps himself nice and safe. As we can see, Creme just putting down this pressure on this top side, and Creme will be able to continually put this sideway pressure down. He's got himself a TP. He knows that he can basically be wherever he needs to be at the, any kind of call right there. Aki trying to see if he can maybe move forward up with him, and those rockets are starting to hurt. You can see them slowly getting up to that 150% damage that you get on the big one when you hit level 16. And that's where this game starts to get a little bit more tenuous here for WE. But I still think they've got plenty of options to be able to kind of bring this one back in their favor.
I mean, I think on both sides, there's ways now that you can try and play around Creme on a side lane for OMG. Just continuously have him shove in. You can see he's being shadowed by Aki. He can actually deal a lot of damage to the turrets now that he is starting to ramp up when it comes towards his damage profile. For WE, I still think taking this nice and slow and just being better prepared at your team fights should give you an easier time. I think that the overcommit in towards the the Dragon's Den ended up costing them a huge amount there. I think if you continue to take fights where they're a bit more spread out, you should be in a reasonably good position.
Why don't we call it the Dragon's Den? People always call it the Dragon's Pit. Why have I never thought about that? That's incredible. Why is it always Dragon Pit? It should be Dragon. I'm going to call it Dragon's Den from now on. You've done it. You've done it. You've changed my casting style.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's copyrighted. It's 2 words. Like, it's a den where a dragon lives. I don't think you can copyright that. But yeah, I'm going to say that from now on. We're going to say Dragon's Den. Let's go, Dagda. Dagda's Dragon Den. You could do a breakdown of dragon fights called Dagda's Dragon's Den. There you go.
I'm gonna do a show called Dragon's Den where people pitch me champion ideas, and I'll decide whether or not to invest.
That sounds really unique and interesting.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Dagda's Dragon's Den. You pitch me your champions. I will tell you whether they'll do well or not, and if they're able to live up to what we expect in season 12. Sorry, where they're all posted as all that.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of busted as all hell, OMG going to start getting the package in position as Shanji off on the backside. The Dragon's Den is now being coerced by OMG as WE struggling to find a real foothold in this fight. How do you want to try and approach this as WE very quickly?
But the problem is they don't really have an engage here. Creme is in a great spot, and they have more pink wards in that bush behind them than they do on OMG's side of the map.
Yeah, here we go. There's going to be a great hook. How does that find Shanks? And you get the package right above everybody, but the Emperor's Divide just makes it a bounce house for Creme. He goes down. The Aphelios not quite there, but look at Abel just trying to make this one work for his team. Smlz will end up falling. He gets stunned down. The Dragon is still alive, but you can see OMG after that ace. They're going for the Baron.
I mean, it's easy as you like for OMG. Abel, I was kind of highlighting that he wouldn't be able to get into fights, but it doesn't matter if the fight is pretty much already done. The second OMG get that engaged. Cold stepping up massively there, and now you end up with the Baron going across to OMG. They will be able to maybe reset and get back for a Dragon, we'll have to see, but watch here, as you say, like, Shanks should never get caught by this hook in a million years. Stepping up too far to try and get the poke down. And Cold immediately sinking it straight between heel and BiuBiu. Creme following up with the package as soon as he realized that Shanks is out of has an issue. Creme does get exhausted in the backline, which is why he ends up going down. But the damage is already done.
Shanji is now in position live. He's already got himself back into a TP. Creme is here, but he doesn't have the package this time around. Probably have the Valkyrie a little bit away. As we can see, BiuBiu not quite mega just yet. Gonna get it just in time to keep himself alive. But again, Cold finds himself on the backside and gets the absolutely perfect pick. That's a kill, that's a Dragon, and OMG firmly in control of this game.
I mean, these have just been so well orchestrated on the engages for OMG. And WE, again, like, zero vision control, zero setup for themselves, and end up just getting caught out with their pants down as OMG come back from picking up Baron. And now Cole X flashes over the wall, but nobody from WE wants to contest this push right now.
I mean, you don't have engage. Even the, the kind of situational engage with BiuBiu is no longer existent because he's not here. You probably lose yourself at least an inhibitor turret here, and also you got bot side Shanji pushing in the lane, so you're actually taking so much of this map away from the side of WE. I don't think you can really do anything to defend it, even now that BiuBiu is back.
I mean, the fact you've got 5 kills now onto Creme, the GA as well completed, means that the fights become so much more difficult for WE to try and enact. Shanji got to tank up the turret, take the bot lane tier 2, and your control, as you say, on the map for WE is completely dissipating. Like, WE's team fighting is just so heartbreaking to watch, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, we set it up. All WE have to do is play a proper front to back, make sure that Smlz and Shanks are not getting caught out by a hook from Cold, and that's all you have to do. If you put up the Unbreakable, it opens it up. Even that last fight where Shanks gets caught out, that's like the one time the Lollipop didn't actually work for WE, where they were probably hoping for the Lollipop, and it just didn't happen. So this is very unfortunate for the side of WE, but again, this is why they're 0-5. This is the small executions that just go against them, and sadly for them, it's looking likely that they're going to go 0-6.
Yeah, I just don't see a way for them to deal with Creme with how big he is right now. Like, this Corki is absolutely absurd. Cold, considering the flash over the wall. But
I mean, he's looking for it.
Yeah, they will just take the tier 2. So, a nice job here by OMG to get, like, full amount out of this Baron. You can see a 5,000 gold difference coming off this Baron power play, and they're still looking to add to more.
I mean, they can take this turret. You've got Aphelios and a Corki. You'll destroy this right now. Sorry, not an Aphelios. A Samira. Either way, you've got so much damage to be able to kind of put this one off, and you're still going forward. WE, you got to make a decision here, lads. You got to figure out something.
I mean, I just don't know. Like, OMG are just completely demanding space in this space. The bot, they're just going, actually.
They have to. They have to go. They got to try and defend their turrets, but I don't think they can do anything. Beishang's already gone down. We can see there is the ultimate from Abel as he gets himself onto the 2 frontliners of WE. Smlz has nowhere to go. There's the triple kill coming out. They might try and chase down Shanks for another one. Shanji just putting himself. Now you have nowhere to go, Shanks, and nowhere to be. The ace comes in. Nobody dies except for Cold, and OMG do get themselves up to 4-4. WE 0-6.
Yeah, OMG managing to find the victory in the team fights. Just far better orchestrated. And better setup, better front line, better coordination on how they wanted to find those engages. And when you look across at WE, it was just messy. I mean, consistently people getting caught out on backside of fights with no help coming through when we look at fight number 1. Shanks getting hooked at that second fight. Every fight where it should have been a bit of an easier, slower pace from WE, they just kept putting their foot in the wrong spot and allowed OMG to pick up the pace in those team fights and find the victory they wanted.
Yeah, it really was. And honestly, it feels... It's heartbreaking for WE. Again, they looked very good in game 1. I feel like they had opportunities in game 2, but didn't quite get the execution down. Could have been a 2-0. This one, again, the team composition was set up for success. They just needed to play a proper front-to-back team fight, not get themselves caught out by the Nautilus. And it just didn't come together. And again, 0-6, coming up to the halfway point of the split. I think if they go 0-8, I think definitely if they go 0-9, they might just be knocked out of playoffs mathematically.
Yeah, I mean, generally we kind of end up seeing that to get into playoffs, kind of 8 wins, 9 wins secures you. 7 wins occasionally gets you in, but yeah, I don't know, if you're already looking at 9 losses, it just feels impossible for them to get in.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's looking kind of likely. Like, as we pointed out at the start of the day, it's not like it gets easier here for WE. They have already faced the quote-unquote like easier teams in the league. Like TT, they already lost to. Rare Atom, they already lost to. Now they've lost to OMG. The only team that's kind of down at that bottom of the barrel that we've been talking about is LGD. And even then, I just don't see a world where WE are able to beat them. So, I don't know. At least picking up a few games wins means that they won't match the V5 0-17 loss streak. But I don't know how likely it is that this team will end up, wowing us towards the end of the split.
They're making it to worlds. They're making it to worlds, not even just playoffs. But yeah, look, see, they had a 4,000 gold lead.
Go, you know?
Yeah, I mean, hell yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like 4,000 gold lead, and then it just falls off so hard once you saw that massive play from Creme on the bot side. It was, all right, around the Dragon's Den, and it was just such a huge moment there for the side of OMG to be able to bring that game back into a winnable position.
Yeah, I mean, from the perspective of OMG, I actually really like the way they were able to coordinate things, and especially Creme. I think Creme was an absolute monster with these packages. Cold as well, the hooks were key to their success, and especially when he was kind of providing that initial engage, so it made it easier for Shanji to follow up. Cold really needed to be on point, and between Creme and Cold, the CC, so to speak, was just too clean.
Yeah, it was way too clean. And honestly, I think it's going to be Creme as your MVP of this game. I haven't got it confirmed just yet, but that's where I'm thinking it's going to be going, because you can see there with nearly 90% kill participation, 42.2% of his team's damage percentage. I mean, it can only go to one person, and it has to go to him.
I mean, he did all right, you know. That is a significant amount of damage, I will say. Yeah, but it wasn't even just the fact that like the damage was super high. The position in the packages was great, where it split the fight so consistently in favor of OMG. Even in the second dragon fight that we got, where he ends up going in with the package onto the backline, even when he gets exhausted, he just commands so much attention from WE that the rest of OMG can do what they want.
Yeah.
So really nice thing play from Cream.